米番組 MLB Now では1月に日本人で初めて米国野球殿堂入りを果たし、今月の日本時間28日に殿堂入り式典を控えているイチロー氏を取り上げました。そこでは元メジャーリーガーのポール・モリター氏やテッド・シモンズ氏、そして米野球殿堂博物館の館長を務めるジョシュラウィッチ氏がゲスト出演し、イチロー氏の知られざる現役時代の秘話や式典について語りました。ここからはその様子を字幕付きでご紹介します。
This has been exciting since we knew from the moment Ichiro retired and we had the 5-year countdown. The first Japanese-born player being inducted. What kind of crowd are you expecting? Specifically, Japanese fans coming for Ichiro.
Well, I think it's certainly going to be probably the most international we've ever had. We've had guys before from the Dominican or Venezuela, and obviously we get quite a few fans coming up from there, but there's nothing quite like a first. And for somebody like Ichiro, who had such a major impact, we know tons of Japanese media, that we know because they get credentialed. But what's interesting about this is we don't charge for tickets. It's free, so there's no way to know exactly what to expect. We're just going to look out at the field on Sunday and I think be really happy with all the fans that came to celebrate him and all the inductees.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Look, and anytime you have a Yankee going in like CC Sabathia, played a good part of his career, the Yankees get a lot of fans up there too. Billy Wagner going in, as well as the other inductees and the Veterans Committee players. First, though, Japanese or English for Ichiro, given the speech? Do we know?
Yeah, he's going to do it in English. For those that may have seen it in Seattle when he got into the Mariners Hall of Fame, he did an incredible job. I mean, this man prepares for everything. He loves Cooperstown. He's been here any number of times, and I think has probably known for a while that he might have to make this speech. So I think we have great faith that it's going to come with some funny stories. He's a funny guy, but I think all these speeches it's what makes this thing so special.
Yeah, he's made visits to the Hall of Fame as a player, right? What do we know? It's funny, I remember that coming up. Tell us about that.
Yeah, very few people do what he did. I mean, when he was a player, he used to come here in the off season, and basically in the winter, he'd just throw a hoodie on and quietly walk around Cooperstown and not tell any. I mean, he'd let us know he's coming, but he has such a great interest and belief in the history of the game that very few people have done what he did, and I think that's part of what makes this honor so special to him.
Wow, that's magical, actually. Imagine seeing Ichiro wander in wintertime in Cooperstown, wandering around Main Street. The music class this year. Your thoughts? I didn't realize you coached Ichiro. Tell us about that, Paul.
Yeah, it's a big class. It's a great class. And, you know, in 2004, Pat Gillick, who was my general manager when I was with the Blue Jays, was with the Mariners at the time. And he convinced me to come back and try my hand at being a hitting coach, which didn't go particularly well overall. But I had the pleasure of coaching Ichiro that year. And the short story on that, BK, is that when I got there, they wanted me to talk to Ichiro in spring training about changing his approach a little bit, seeing more pitches, trying to increase his on-base percentage. It's not like he needed to do a lot more to get better, but they thought that would be one way he could do it. And he tried it in spring training and through the first couple of weeks of the season, and it just wasn't working. And so I remember pulling him aside and saying, hey, just forget about everything we talked about in spring training and go back to being yourself. And he went on to have 3 50-hit months that year, set the record. I think it's 262. And it was great to be a witness to that.
Well, it seems like you would be a good coach for him, that you were short to the ball, right? I mean, you punched the ball. He was a singles guy. You had more power. Sure. But it seemed like your game would line up with his, right?
Well, they did somewhat. You know, I always thought the closest distance between 2 points is a straight line, and I tried to apply that to hitting. And, you know, Ichiro, I never thought he was a great pitch recognizer, but he was a tremendous adjuster to the ball in flight, and he could get that bat on the ball in so many ways. And the other strange thing too, you know, you watch Ichiro take batting practice, and he hits 450-foot moonshots to right field, and in the first swing of the game is a little fillet to left field. But he was a guy who saw space. He could guide balls to areas where even if infielders were able to get to them, he could still, you know, with his speed, could get to first base. I think he had something like 75 or 80 infield hits in the year that he broke that record for hits in a season.
Wow.
I love the conversations, and you had one recently with Ted Simmons where he was kind of waxing poetic about Ichiro. What was that conversation like? Tell me.
Yes, Lauren. Ted Simmons, one of the most thoughtful guests that we've ever had on the Road to Cooperstown podcast. I always love talking baseball and art and all things life with Ted Simmons. And I did ask him about Ichiro Suzuki, and here's why. Ted Simmons was a Mariners executive during the time that Ichiro played in Seattle. And Ted, who of course looks through things through a very analytical, catching mindset. Here is what Ted Simmons told me about watching the great Ichiro Suzuki take batting practice.
The thing that convinced me about this guy, and I saw him take batting practice every day, and it wasn't a matter of communicating verbally. It was a matter of watching what he did. Here's what I say about Ichiro. People ask me, one batter. I've seen them all. I've seen Boggs, I've seen Ichiro, I've seen Rose, I've seen everybody. Say, if you had one batter to go to the plate for a safe base hit, however it came, from bunt to homer to single to triple double, whatever, one player with your kids tied up on the railroad tracks, and if he didn't get a hit in this one at bat, okay, the train, the locomotive would run right over your two kids. Who would you pick? And I've seen them all, every single one, for one at bat. Hands down, Ichiro, every pick.
About that passion from Ted Simmons talking about the great Ichiro Suzuki. And again, it's going to be a historic weekend. I cannot wait to get to Cooperstown for our MLB Network coverage. Of course, the first ever Japanese-born player to be inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. And there it is in Seattle, 7 days away. Now, pretty soon it's going to be 6 days away. Of course, it's going to be Sunday. And Lauren, I'll say this. I've been so privileged and blessed to be at a lot of these induction ceremonies. Can you imagine the anticipation for Ichiro's speech? Will it be in English? Will it be in Japanese? What's he going to say? How many fans will be there to watch it? There are so many unknowns here, Lauren. I guess you'll have to tune in to MLB Network on Sunday to find out.
A guy that comes around once in a lifetime. Why do you feel that way about Ichiro?
Even you look at Ohtani now coming over here, you know, what Ichiro had to deal with, not only just on the field but off the field, the attention, the international attention. It was similar with Hideki Matsui. Ichiro was kind of a player you hadn't seen before. Yeah. You know, he put the ball in play. He was running before he swung. He was a great defender. He stole bases. He had a strong arm. He could basically do everything. But he is one of those guys that still you don't see anyone like him today, and I'm not quite sure you will.
You have as much respect for the history of baseball as any player I've ever known or heard about. You've been to Cooperstown 7 or 8 times already just because you're interested in the history of the game.
Of course, I wanted to learn about the history, and that's one of the reasons. But really, as I played and as I hit milestones, broke records that some of the old Hall of Famers had accomplished, I felt really a close relationship with them. And so in order to get to know more about them and get to have a more closer relationship, I thought I needed to go to the Hall of Fame, Cooperstown, and be able to learn about them, be able to go in the basement and maybe get to touch some of their equipment. And that's kind of how I became closer to some of those players that I was able to tie or pass some of the records.
Yes. That's one of the things I've admired most about you. Sisler's daughter was at the game when you tied or passed him. And then when the All-Star game was in St. Louis in 2009, you visited his gravesite and said that you wanted to honor this grand upperclassman of the game. What a wonderful thing.
George Sisler's daughter came to Seattle and to watch, and I was so grateful for that. And, you know, really the Cooperstown was, Hall of Fame is there so that I learned about these guys. And so it meant a lot to me to go to the gravesite, because that's where I was able to learn about them through Cooperstown. And so that's why Cooperstown is great for everyone, but especially for me, who I was able to get close to some of those that I was able to learn about.
What does it mean to you, given your respect for the history of the game, that you are the first Japanese player in the American Baseball Hall of Fame?
It wasn't a goal of mine to be in the Hall of Fame. I started my professional career at 18. It's just a little, every day working on the little things and working hard every single day and just getting better every single day. And I didn't know I was going to go to America to play baseball and for the big leagues. And that became possible because of just the everyday, over and over and over practices and everything that I've done to get to that point. And as I went throughout my career, there was an opportunity that, hey, maybe I could go play in the big leagues. And that's when I had an opportunity in 2000 at the end to be able to go to the big leagues in America. And so that's kind of the steps that I had to take to get to the goals that I've had. In 2001, my career started here, and I didn't know that I could last a year. And people around me didn't know that I could last a year. But, you know, our team did well. We won 116 games. I was able to contribute, and I was able to just take those little steps every single day. And, you know, 2-3 years, I was able to do well. And then fourth year, get 262 hits, and just took little steps along the way. And look at me now, I'm a Hall of Famer. You know, you look at the Hall of Fame, I don't think it's full of guys that are just so talented than everybody else. Look at me, you know, I think I just took little steps and worked hard to get to the next step, and here I am.
People may not realize that your English is actually very good, but you like to speak in these situations in Japanese to be as precise as you can. But in Cooperstown in July, will you speak a little bit of English in your acceptance speech?
I will make my speech in English. You know, when we have these interviews, you know, I'm shaky in my own language, Japanese. You know, I can't speak it, you know, and that's how I've looked at it. You know, obviously I've wanted to learn English. I tried, and it's really hard. You know, if you would have told me, hey, you could put a chip in my head and I would lose 5 years of my life, you know, back then I would have done it. But now I'm kind of at peace with that, and that I will, you know, of course I want to learn English. I want to do better, but yes, I will do my speech in English in July.
まずクーパーズタウンまでの距離が、シアトルからすごく。
Cooperstown is really far from Seattle. I mean, from Japan, it's really far. So, you know, as I traveled here, as I get closer, you know, that feeling of excitement that comes to play, and you know, when I come here, it's like a home. You know, it's almost like that I belong. It's one of those feelings that you get that it just feels right.
So this is a umpire's counter. This is from 1887, the only year it took 4 strikes for a strikeout. 4 strikes for a strikeout. How would you like to come to bat knowing you get 4 strikes? You'd have 5,000 hits.
The 2-0. Ichiro to right and deep, and it's off the wall. 3,000 is in right field, and he's done it. He's climbed the mountain.
This is a bat that Babe Ruth used in 1927. He hit 28 of his 60 home runs that year with that bat. Didn't break, he just retired the bat.
Probably hit it on the sweet spot a lot.
All the time.
The Hall of Fame is not just about what you do on the field. It's more than that. It's, you know, how you live your life.
In 1939 was the first induction ceremony when we dedicated the museum. And this is a picture that was taken of 10 of the 11 living Hall of Famers. Ty Cobb was late to the photo. Don't be late to your photo.
When he had his 4,000th hit combined in Japan baseball and Major League, that hit total Ty Lou Gehrig's.
Line drive, base hit, there it is. 4,000 hits. Janssen, the third man in baseball history to have 4,000 hits. He does it in the first inning, and the Yankees come out of the dugout to congratulate him for a great achievement.
Usually when he came here, there was somebody that he was tied to that he could go and see, so that was kind of cool for him.
あれ1メーターあるじゃない全然見えなかった全然見えなかった
I was waiting for you to see that.
女子の方見てたよ
Line drive, base hit, center field. Number 262 for Ichiro. And the crowd, they're on their feet one more time.
I strive every day, and I feel like today I even feel it even more, that I want to be better and be somebody that, you know, the kids can look up to.
So this is soon after you came up.
Ground ball, base hit in the right field. Heading for third is Terrence Long. The throw by Ichiro. Beautiful. Peggy got him. Holy smoke, a laser beam strike from Ichiro to the third baseman, David Bell, and Terrence Long is gunned down at third base. What a throw. 2 outs.
It was great that this happened early in his career, but it also made guys not run, so he couldn't show it anymore. A lot of people might think that this might be the end for a player, but I feel like this is the beginning, and this is something that I can strive to be better, and so I look at this as the beginning.
いかがでしたでしょうか。このチャンネルでは日本人メジャーリーガーなどを中心に野球情報をお届けしています。この動画が良かったら高評価、チャンネル登録をよろしくお願いいたします。今回も最後までご覧いただきありがとうございました。それではまた次の動画でお会いしましょう。